Hey there, third grade. This is Mr. Thomas. I'm going to try to take a few minutes to talk about the remote learning plan you're going to be working on for this week. And I'm going to go over the subject areas and talk a little bit about the focus for each one of those. And we're going to start with math. So in math this week, you're going to be doing some work with arrays. Arrays are rows and columns that have equal numbers in them. So here is an example I have. I made 3 rows, and there are 4 objects, in this case circles, that are in each of the rows. And then what you're going to do is you're going to write the 2 multiplication facts and the 2 division facts that go along with that array. In this case, 3 times 4 equals 12, 4 times 3 equals 12, and then you start with the big number. 12 divided by 3 equals 4, and 12 divided by 4 equals 3. And the basic assignment for the week is that you're going to be looking around where you live, and you're going to try to find some arrays. Some arrays that you may find could be in the fridge if you have maybe some juice or soda that's in like a package of some sort. If you have yogurt, if you have maybe cheese sticks. There are also other places in your the place that you live that could have arrays. So drawers in a dresser could have arrays. You're also allowed to take objects and create your own arrays. And then you are going to write down the multiplication and division facts that go with that array. And that's the focus for math this week. There are also a couple math games that you're going to be able to work on that are online based. And there's also one that you can print out a board that has a grid of 100 squares on it, and you can play an array game with that. Okay, guys, focus 2 of the week is on reading. And for reading this week, you're going to be thinking about connections. So when you read a book, we often connect to the book. And there are 3 basic ways that you can connect to a story. You can connect either to a personal experience, which means connecting to yourself. You can connect to another book, or you can connect to the world in general. So you are going to choose a book that you have either read recently or that you're currently reading, and you're going to choose one of those, either text to self, text to text, or text to world, and kind of explain how you connect to that certain book. April is Poetry Month, so we're going to continue our work on poetry this week. We have done a couple types of poems, and now we're going to do bio poems this week. So bio poems are poems about a specific person. Usually they're about someone famous or a character in a book. There is an example of a Martin Luther King poem that we're sharing with you, as well as a link to an Abraham Lincoln poem. I would recommend the first bio poem that you start with is a bio poem on yourself. You know yourself really well. So start with a poem about you, and then you can kind of branch out. If you want to do a poem about another family member, that's fine too. There is a connection to social studies. So this week we're going to be doing a little work with Paul Revere and his Midnight Ride. So if you want to do a bio poem on Paul Revere, you can do that as another option. Just like with poetry, our 3rd week of poetry, we're going to do our 3rd week and final week focusing on your weather journal. So you're going to continue working on the weather journal, looking at the weather outside, and hopefully over a 3-week period, you're going to be noticing some changes. Just outside my house, I've noticed over the past couple weeks a lot of flowers that have come out. A lot of the trees are starting to have buds on them. We're starting to see some birds and insects, hopefully not mosquitoes, but maybe soon, that we haven't seen yet this spring. So you're going to be continuing with the weather journal and continuing to note what the weather is and any changes you've seen over the past couple of weeks. When I talked about the poetry focus for the week, I mentioned Paul Revere. So the social studies focus is on him. He was a very famous person in the beginning of the American Revolution. He was a member of the Sons of Liberty, and his job in Boston was to warn the Minutemen in Concord and Lexington if the British were going to be leaving Boston to travel to Lexington and Concord and try to seize the ammunition and guns and other weapons that the Minutemen had. So he found out that the British were about to leave Boston. He was rowed across the Charles River in a boat, and then he got onto a horse and he rode, different road, to warn the Minutemen in Lexington and Concord that the British were on their way. So the focus for the week is on him. What you're going to do is you are going to listen to a very famous poem written about Paul Revere by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And this poem wasn't written till nearly 100 years after the event. Paul Revere was dead by then, so he never found out about this poem. So you're going to listen to that poem. You're also going to listen to a biography on Paul Revere, and that can help you if you want to write a bio poem on him. And then there are also a couple activities on creating a lantern. So a lantern, or actually lanterns, were an important part of Paul Revere's Midnight Ride. There was a signal that the Patriots used in the Old North Church in Boston to warn or let the other Patriots know that the British were going to leave Boston. So your focus for the week is on Paul Revere. I hope everybody enjoys listening to those poems, learning a little bit about him, and you have fun making one of those lanterns. Take care, everybody. Have a good week.